Desarrollo sin litoral reconoce que la transición energética es un cambio de paradigma, un cambio en la forma en que producimos, distribuimos y consumimos energía. Con la incorporación de la movilidad eléctrica que está en curso, Paraguay se beneficiará en términos de reducción de dióxido de carbono del sector de transporte, que vendría acompañada de una mayor utilización de energía eléctrica limpia a nivel nacional. Adicionalmente, para el Paraguay sería recomendable transitar hacia la utilización de hidrógeno verde como vector energético en el transporte de larga distancia, ya que las características de nuestros recursos naturales y producción energética en el país pueden favorecer su implementación. Entendemos que los grandes excedentes de electricidad con tarifas competitivas y la abundancia de recursos hídricos viabilizan la producción de hidrógeno verde a gran escala. Esto claramente representa oportunidades para la inversión e iniciativas como la plataforma de inversión climática de IRENA, que puede jugar un papel protagónico. Una transición a fuentes energéticas de producción local, desarrolladas con criterios de sostenibilidad, podría permitir al país optimizar su matriz energética para consolidar la seguridad energética no solo en el país, sino también en nuestra región. La Política Energética Nacional 2040 tiene la visión estratégica de atender las necesidades de energía de la población y de todos los sectores productivos, con criterios de calidad, responsabilidad socioambiental y eficiencia, y convierta la energía en el factor de crecimiento económico, desarrollo industrial y de progreso social en el marco de la integración regional. Resaltamos que para la política energética paraguaya, IRENA tiene una gran relevancia. Consideramos estratégico avanzar en oportunidades de asociación en materia energética, en particular en materia de atracción de inversiones, promoción e intercambio de experiencias y transferencia de tecnología, con la finalidad de coadyuvar a la ejecución de esa política. Señor presidente, para concluir, Paraguay confirma una vez más su vocación para continuar desarrollando un trabajo constructivo con IRENA y los Estados miembros para el cumplimiento de los objetivos compartidos por todos en materia energética. Muchas gracias.
Thank you, Paraguay. I now give the floor to Mozambique.
Excellencies, and sincere thanks for the occasion, taking into account the current global momentum and the focus, especially in light of the imperative to take action on the implement of the outcomes of the COP28. Excellencies, Mozambique is highly vulnerable to impacts of climate change. In 2019, for instance, the country experienced 2 consecutive cyclones, which resulted in economic losses and damages estimated at $3.2 billion. For this reason, Mozambique is committed to the global decarbonization process, as we have a favorable low-carbon energy potential that places the country in a unique position to support global energy transition. Further, we have developed some important tools such as Renewable Energy Atlas, renewable policies and strategy, including the regulatory framework worked with IRENA's support. Ladies and gentlemen, during the COP28, we presented the Energy Transition Strategy 2024 to 2050, which comprises of 4 main pillars: modern energy system based on renewable sources, green industrialization, universal access to modern energy, adoption of clean energy for transport at the estimated cost of $80 billion, including the implementation of and acceleration of large-scale renewable energy projects, hydro, solar, and wind. The strategy also recommends a green hydrogen strategy to ensure the energy transition to carbon net zero by 2050. Excellencies, despite the achievements, we are still far to reach the universal access within the time frame established by the UN. The country is huge. Access to finance, including green funds, is a challenge. Needs of capacity building still a bottleneck, just to mention some. The paradox of being rich of energy resources and low access to modern energy to electrify and industrialize the country represents a no-go. Then a just energy transition is a must for the country like ours. On the other hand, the challenge of sustainable use of biomass remains a big issue to address with severe impact for the targets of the COP28 of our energy transition and all other national, regional, and international instruments related to the climate change mitigation and adaptation. For all these efforts, we recognize the role of international cooperation and invite the investors and stakeholders to engage with Mozambique in a renewable energy project, as well as we appreciate the very good cooperation relations between Mozambique and IRENA, which are contributing for the transformation of the Mozambican energy prospectus. I thank you.
Thank you, Mozambique. I will now hand over to the Assembly Vice President Angola, represented by His Excellency Mr. João Borges, Minister for Energy and Waters, to continue presiding this afternoon. He is the ambassador.
Good afternoon. Just to make some clarify, I'm in behalf of the Minister of Energy and Water of Angola. He who travel right now because some urgent situation to attend. Myself, I am the ambassador of Angola in UAE and the representative in Iran. Thank you. So, I will give now the floor of Georgia, please.
Your Excellency and ladies and gentlemen, distinguished colleagues, it's a honor for me to address the 14th session of the Assembly of the International Renewable Energy Agency on behalf of the Minister of Economy and Sustainable Development of Georgia. This gathering provide us with valuable opportunities and to discuss the global transition renewable energy, which is a subject of immense importance for all. As we gather here and today, it's clear that the shift towards a sustainable and resilient energy system, it's crucial for our collective and future. Despite facing various challenges, we remain committed to advancing sustainable energy development with determination and forward thinking. First of all, most foremost, and I would like to extend my gratitude to IRENA for their excellent cooperation. Their partnership has been in the implementation in our journey towards sustainable energy development. As we stand today, and Georgia has the estimate and privilege of serving as a vice chair at the IRENA and 14th Assembly. Since October and of 2023, and we have actively engaged in the cooperation with IRENA on as a project consisting of these three main areas. renewable energy assessment and resource assessment, and NDC and NECP alignment. This partnership entails and consultation meeting aims at the fostering the active and participation for all stakeholders. Their session and focus on the discussing these issues and paper with dedicated segment at addressing resource assessment and NDC and NECP alignment. Our focus extends and beyond and simply using and renewable energy sources. We understand the importance of the integrated energy efficiency, renewable energy, and policy development to create a sustainable energy ecosystem. This requires effective resource management, significant investment, and strong and cooperation among stakeholders and both local and international levels. As a renewable energy and country and Georgia strategically and located at the interconnections of Europe and Asia holds an advantage in both and learning from the contributing as the global energy and the practices. Our nations and main policies is the maximum utilization of the all local renewable energy because we think it is in our security. Let me introduce the ongoing projects. We have more than 275 and renewable energy projects, including in hydro, wind, and solar, and so on. Also, we have a new initiative about the green hydrogen. Already we prepared first draft of the green hydrogen strategy. As you are aware, and we have very ambitious target for 2030. That's why all renewable energy and practical implementation, it's a critical important for us. In conclude, I would like to thank to Urena for excellent cooperation and also the members and for very interesting and cooperation and during this year. We hope the practical renewable energy cooperation will continue in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Georgia. I now give the floor to the India.
Thank you, Excellency. It's an honor to attend the 14th Assembly of IRENA. I would also like to thank our host UAE for their gracious hospitality. In recent years, India has embarked on a transformative journey towards embracing renewable energy as cornerstone of our development agenda. Our approach towards achieving decarbonization is guided by Panchamrit, or the five principles, namely achieving 500 gigawatt of non-fossil installed electric capacity by 2030, meeting 50% of our energy requirements from renewable energy, reducing emission intensity of GDP by 45% over 2005 levels by 2030, reducing the total projected carbon emissions by 1 billion tons by 2030, to become carbon neutral and achieve net zero emissions by year 2070. I would like to bring to your notice that India's per capita emissions of 2.2 tons per annum are roughly one-third of the global average and are much lower than some of other countries where per capita emissions are upwards of 20 tons per annum. I also take this opportunity to highlight the fact that India has already fulfilled its 2015 NDC commitment of achieving 40% cumulative installed electric power capacity from non-fossil fuel-based energy resources by 2030, 9 years in advance. The target has since been revised to 50%, which we are confident of achieving well before 2030. In line with Government of India's announcement at COP26, we are working towards achieving 500 gigawatt of installed electric capacity from non-fossil sources by 2030. So far, a total of 190 gigawatt renewable energy capacity has been installed in the country. This includes 82 gigawatt solar power, 52 gigawatts of hydro, 46 gigawatt wind power, and 11 gigawatt of bio power. In addition, 134 gigawatt of projects are under implementation and about 80 gigawatt is under tendering. Therefore, the total of 403 gigawatt RE capacity is either installed or under various stages of implementation. In addition, we are bidding out 50 gigawatt RE capacity per annum till year 27-28. That will enable India to achieve its targets. So we are very confident of surpassing our target of 500 gigawatt. Our energy transition strategy adopts a multi-dimensional approach covering electrification of economy, deployment of renewables, decarbonization of hard-to-abate sectors through adoption of green hydrogen and ammonia, affordable and reliable storage technologies, promoting domestic manufacturing of renewable energy equipments, building resilient supply chains, among others. The government of India has introduced policies and measures for diversification of the supply chains. The production linked incentive scheme for high efficiency solar PV modules is one such example. The National Green Hydrogen Mission, launched in January last year with an outlay of $2.5 billion, targets 5 million metric tons annual green hydrogen production capacity by 2030. Already bids of 412,000 tons of green hydrogen production and 1,500 megawatt of electrolyzer manufacturing capacity have been awarded. Commercial scale production is expected to start in 26. We are empowering local communities, particularly in rural and remote areas, by decentralizing energy production. We have recently launched a very ambitious solar rooftop scheme, the PM Surya Ghar Muft Bijli Yojana. This scheme, with an outlay of $9 billion, envisages installation of rooftop solar PV in 10 million households. We are also working on promotion of energy efficiency and strengthening and expansion of our grid to ensure seamless and efficient renewable energy integration. Further, India has issued a strategy for establishment of offshore wind energy projects and has issued the first bid for leasing out of seabed for development of 4 gigawatt of offshore wind power projects. We have created a conducive environment for RE deployment in the country through a number of initiatives and reforms over the last decade. Some of the major ones include permitting foreign direct investment up to 100% under the automatic route, declaration of trajectory of renewable energy purchase up to year 2930, envisaging increase in total consumption of electricity from currently 22% to 43% by 2030. Quicker and smooth energy transition cannot be achieved without enhanced collaboration. International cooperation is particularly important to develop, test, and exchange best practices in deploying key technologies, to harmonize standards for clean energy technologies, and to facilitate public and private finance, as well as technical assistance, to scale up the renewables, particularly in emerging and developing countries. India is willing to share its experiences and learnings in the field of renewable energy with the global fraternity. We also look forward to partner with IRENA and all member countries in furthering these endeavors. Thank you very much.
Thank you, India. I now give the floor to the Poland.
Dear Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, thank you to His Excellency Director La Camera and his staff members for the efficient preparation of this meeting. Let me start with a few remarks on the newest developments of renewable energy in Poland. Last year was another milestone for achieving climate targets. We have deployed over 6 gigawatts of renewable energy sources, mostly solar, which accounts for almost 5 gigawatts of an onshore wind with almost 1 gigawatts of an additional installed wind turbines capacity. We have increased the share of clean energy in the total electricity supplies to almost 28% in 2023. 1 year ago, renewables provided 22% of the overall electricity to the Polish economy. Although solar photovoltaic accounts for the largest share of installed renewable energy capacity, onshore wind provided 14% of the electricity supplies in Poland in 2023 as the most efficient renewable energy technology. That is why it is also important to provide the adequate legal conditions for further development of this wind energy. The pace of renewable energy development in Poland is fast, and we're going to accelerate it even further by relaxing the spatial planning rules for onshore wind farms and implementing the European Union's revised Renewable Energy Directive provisions on permitting. The ambitious goal is to reduce the procedures to 1 year inside the renewable acceleration areas and to 2 years outside of them. We are going to reduce administrative burdens for our entrepreneurs and unlock their potential and energy. Furthermore, we are going to improve the energy security of our economies by increasing the amount of clean energy and strengthening the local industry. The new European Net Zero Industry Act and another measures implemented by the Polish government will support the development of local manufacturing capacity. It is crucial for us to use the full potential of decarbonization and gain all possible benefits the entire process offers. Thousands of well-paid jobs, strong local industry, safe supplies of electricity, independent from the commodities import, and their vast reduction of greenhouse gas emissions are our main priorities. Therefore, we do appreciate the arena's efforts on delivering the best possible analysis and social and economic aspects of energy transition. We also appreciate your efforts on monitoring the development of renewable energy labor market across the member states and delivering us the latest data and estimates. At this moment, I would like to emphasize that in accordance with the agency data, the number of jobs created by deployment of renewable energy in Poland is approximately 212,000, and this number currently exceeds the number of mining sector employees, and we consider this a huge achievement. Renewable energy helped us also by reducing the negative repercussions of Russian invasion of Ukraine and the resulting energy crisis. Wind, solar, and bioenergy significantly filled the gap left by the suspension of Russian gas imports to the European Union. Energy blackmail didn't appear to be efficient, mostly due to our installed renewables capacity. I would like to also take this opportunity and emphasize Poland's support for Ukraine as chairman for the 15 sessions of the Arena Assembly and Turkey as the vice chairman. We work closely with Ukraine in the field of energy transformation, organizing many joint conferences and workshops, and we are fully aware of how important it is for the Ukrainian government to accelerate the development of clean and independent energy sources. Furthermore, renewable energy is also much cheaper than fossil fuels commodities with its soaring prices. It creates opportunities to modernize our economies and increasing its competitiveness and innovativeness. Thank you. I would like to thank the Arena for all the support in facing challenges of the demanding process of energy transition. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Poland. I now give the floor to the Indonesia.
Thank you, Presidency. First of all, on behalf of Indonesian government, I would like to express our gratitude and compliments to IRENA for all the programs and support to Indonesia, in particular on G20 presidency in 2022 and also ASEAN chairmanship last year, 2023. Indonesia has committed to achieve net zero emission, and this is in line with our national commitment also to reduce greenhouse gas emission as stated in our enhanced NDC. Indonesia has prepared an energy transition roadmap to achieve net zero emission by 2060 or sooner through several strategies, among others. From the supply side, massive deployment of new and renewable energy, including biofuel, hydrogen, and also nuclear. We are also preparing the coal-fired power plant phase down and also the use of clean technologies such as CCS and CCUS. From demand side, electrification for vehicle and clean cooking, hydrogen for transportation, development of household gas networks, and also energy efficiency through application of energy management as well as minimum energy performance standard. Currently, Indonesia is in the process also in updating several policies and regulation, namely National Energy Policy, National Planning on Electricity, and also National Long-Term Development Planning. We just issued some regulation in terms of tariff on electricity from renewable energy. We revised also regulation on the solar rooftop, as well also just issued the regulation on CCS and CCUS. Along with national effort to deploy massive renewable, Indonesia also sees that development of hydrogen as an important part. Indonesia just issued national hydrogen strategies as a basis to work toward development of hydrogen in the country. In last, to support our national target, international support has an important role. Thus, we look forward more cooperation and program under the framework of IRENA. Thank you.
Thank you, Indonesia. I now give the floor to the Ethiopia.
I thank you so much, Chairman. First, it is my pleasure to be part of this global assembly on Ethiopian share side. I wish to congratulate and thank you, Rena, for the leadership and the vision you show and for playing a great and undeniable role in the renewable energy sector. The use of renewable energy technology is common in Africa's developing nations. Small-scale solar, wind, geothermal energy systems are currently operational in many countries, supplying electricity to both urban and rural populations. Ethiopia has huge energy potential, mainly hydropower, about 45 gigawatts, and from wind, 10 gigawatts, from geothermal, 5 gigawatts, and solar, 4.5 kilowatts per meter square per day. Out of this potential, we could develop so far 5 gigawatts. And by the end of the coming 2 years, we are going to double as we are going to finalize the Great Ethiopian Dam, which has a capacity of 5.1 gigawatts. Our current energy generation mainly is from renewable, which account for 92% of our energy access and supply. Our generation capacity is 17.7 gigawatt hour per year. From this year, we have been also exporting to our neighboring brotherly and sisterly countries like Sudan, Djibouti, and Kenya. About 14.5 gigawatt hour so far has been exported. By this year, we are going to add 4.3 gigawatt hour more. When we are doing this one, we believe our green energy source is not only for Ethiopia, but for the entire region. We are contributing green energy with a concept of decarbonization. We are also working hard to sustain our energy system because it is mainly from hydropower. We want to sustain our dams, our reservoirs. From the Green Legacy Initiative, our Prime Minister has initiated 4 years back. We have planted more than 32.5 billion seedlings, which we believe that it will minimize the civil transport into the reservoirs and the dam, where our water source will be available, then our energy will be sustainable. So even though we have been doing so far, still accessibility in Ethiopia is not more than 52%. So about 48% of our population is under energy deficit. We need more support, especially development partners, World Bank, European Union, African Development Bank, and others have been supporting us, and still we are requesting more development partners to join. I believe ARENA will keep on coordinating the nations, the countries, and development partners to make achieve green energy accessibility for everyone. I thank you so much.
Thank you, Ethiopia. I now give the floor to United Kingdom. United Kingdom. Okay, let's pass. I now give floor to the Pakistan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. It is my privilege to be part of this important event today alongside such a distinguished group of leaders and experts dealing with renewables. I extend my deepest gratitude to the International Renewable Energy Agency and the brotherly country of United Arab Emirates for their kind hospitality. I would also like to applaud Director General Francisco La Camera for his strong leadership and the initiative taken by RENA for a just transition towards cleaner and greener future. The world is witnessing a rapid change in energy landscape triggered mainly with the intent to tackle the climate change and its impact. We have seen its manifestation yesterday of biblical floods that were witnessed, and the way the government of UAE handled it was commendable. Climate change is a cross-cutting issue for the world and is the gravest threat to human health and global economy. It becomes more significant for countries like Pakistan that are most vulnerable to its impact. Pakistan suffered floods in 2022, resulting in loss of life and innocent displacement of people across the country. According to the Global Climate Risk Index, Pakistan is ranked fifth most vulnerable country in climate change. This is despite the fact that the share of contribution of Pakistan in terms of commission is far less as compared to other developed and developing countries. There is a need to fulfill commitment for climate finance to ensure implementation of climate change actions by developing countries and mitigate the climate change impact, and such financing should not be at the cost of development finance nor add to the already high debt burden of the developing countries. We strongly reaffirm the principle of equity and but common differential responsibility as enshrined in the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change and its Paris Agreement. We need to build upon further the successful outcome of COP28, generously hosted by the government of UAE last year. UAE's stewardship led to an important decision, including the operationalization of the Loss and Damage Fund. As a strong proponent of climate action, Pakistan played a constructive role in the deliberation, leading towards a successful conclusion. Pakistan is confident that the next COP would indeed would inject a renewed political momentum for achieving balanced and ambitious progress on all issues such as loss and damage, adaptation, mitigation, and means of implementation, including finance. The energy crisis the world is facing today has resulted in unprecedented impact of economies and their plans for the transition towards cleaner technologies. However, rising energy costs, energy security, and perhaps most urgently concerns for the environmental providing the drivers to take measures for carbon neutral energy and renewable energy of sources of energy. The government of Pakistan is maintaining its efforts to ensure clean energy mix and would lead Pakistan towards self-reliance and sustainability. The government of Pakistan is pursuing the promotion and development of ARE technologies in the country with special emphasis on solar energy. As part of Pakistan's clean energy transition, the government of Pakistan intends to take the share of clean renewable energy, including hydrocarbons, to its at least 60% by 2030. This will not only help in ensuring energy equity, affordability, sustainability, and energy security, but will also result in significant induction of emissions from the power sector. However, a major challenge to the availability of financing, not only for the ARE-based generation capacity, but also for the development of new grid infrastructure. The achievement of all SDG 7 goals would require even more significant amount of investment in the power sector. The global energy transition must be just, inclusive, and equitable. The developing countries will require hand-holding in order to move towards greener future at the same time. International cooperation must be dramatically scaled up to catalyze the finance and investments needed to accelerate such energy transition, especially in developing countries. Furthermore, building of capacities and share of right kind of knowledge is the need of the hour. This will not only provide affordable energy access to all, but will also generate immense job opportunities, thereby providing social uplift, especially in the developing and in the developed countries. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Petitioner. I now give the floor to the United Kingdom.
Thank you very much, Chair, and thank you again to the IRENA Secretariat and Director General for organising this General Assembly. As you all know, the UK government is firmly committed to net zero by 2050, and our British energy security strategy outlines how we will accelerate the deployment of wind, new nuclear, solar, and hydrogen, which could see 95% of electricity by 2030, just 6 years away, being low carbon. We have built the 5 largest operational offshore wind farm projects in the world, and the share of electricity coming from renewables has risen from 7% in 2010 to more than 40% in 2022. This has allowed us to phase out coal power generation, with the last plant closing this year. In fact, just this Monday, we had our record low for the carbon intensity of power in the UK. It was obviously windy in the UK, just as it was here. Last month, the UK released a review of the Electricity Market Arrangements Programme, which sets out the UK's options to change the wholesale electricity market to better adapt to the expected renewable energy capacity in 2050. We're exploring nodal pricing, grid flexibility opportunities, storage requirements, and low carbon flexibility options that we may need during the energy transition to ensure security of supply for consumers, as well as keeping bills low. To speed up grid connections, our Transmission Acceleration Action Plan sets out how we will reduce the transmission infrastructure construction time from 14 to 7 years. As always, all these plans are freely available to all those people here on our gov.uk website. The UK is keen to ensure grids and grid flexibility is considered globally in this transition, and as such, we are pleased to be collaborating with IRENA through the Green Grids Initiative as a supporting partner of the Utilities for Net Zero Alliance. The UK also leads the Power Breakthrough with the Kingdom of Morocco, and we are pleased to announce IRENA will become the new facilitator of the Power Breakthrough to help coordinate the landscape of power initiatives. And the Power Breakthrough continues to play a role in delivering the global pledge at COP28. Thank you very much.
Thank you, United Kingdom. I now give the floor to the Netherlands.
Thank you, Mr. President. Esteemed colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. Like others, I would like to thank the UAE for its excellent hospitality, even when faced with the challenge of torrential rains. Then, the climate science is clear. We can keep a path open to 1.5 degrees, but it requires urgent action today. In our view, this means 3 things. First, implementing the energy transition goals of COP28 in such a way that all countries can benefit. It is a shared success that colleagues from IRENA played an instrumental role in delivering. We need to unlock the urgently needed finance to triple renewable energy and double energy efficiency by 2030. That's only 6 years from now, and the transition away from fossil fuels. That means that we need to make much more progress in aligning all financial flows with the Paris Agreement, specifically where it concerns private finance. We would particularly appreciate IRENA's guidance and cooperation on how to ensure finance flows towards countries where the business case for investments in renewables and energy efficiency is not so easily made. But as governments, we should also undertake action by phasing out fossil fuel subsidies, and thereby moving away from fossil fuels. This would unlock, at the same time, the urgently needed finance to triple renewable energy and double energy efficiency. The Netherlands has taken the initiative for this by bringing together a group of first-moving countries. We invite others to join as well. Another big challenge is grid capacity. Our grid capacity needs to match our renewable energy ambitions. It is important that businesses and individuals can keep making their activities more sustainable. In the Netherlands, being a densely populated country in which the energy transition has been going fast last years, this is a challenge. Therefore, timely and billions of investment is needed in our grids. Second, we cannot tackle these challenges in isolation. There can be no doubt that the war in Ukraine and its impact on the global energy sector have made clear the vulnerability of our energy system. Renewable energy is also crucially linked to energy security. By reducing our dependencies on fossil fuels and related imports, and by diversifying energy supply chains, we can bolster resilience against geopolitical shocks. That is why the Netherlands is focused on the power of partnerships, green partnerships that deliver for our energy transitions and for economic development. Third, hydrogen will play a key role in integrating renewable energy in the Dutch energy system, in particular offshore wind energy from wind farms at the North Sea. Through tenders, we will subsidize the local production of hydrogen. We have allocated 5.2 billion euros from our climate fund for onshore electrolysis up to the year 2030. We are also preparing ourselves for offshore hydrogen production in the near future by launching pilot projects. Domestic production will not be high enough to meet market needs. Imports will be needed to supply our industry, heavy transport sector, and power plants. Therefore, importing hydrogen is crucial in our strategy. The Netherlands will join the German initiative of H2 Global to help kickstart the import of hydrogen. Our countries will launch a share tender before the end of this year. All in all, I would like to conclude by emphasizing that we are committed to keep the 1.5 degrees pathway alive, here in ARENA as well as elsewhere, with the best science available and by working together on ambitious economy-wide and concrete climate plans for our common objectives and future. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. I now give the floor to the Germany.
Thank you very much. Dear colleagues, dear President of this Assembly and session, we are celebrating ARENA's 15th anniversary this year, and with that, a huge success story. Since its inception, ARENA has grown tremendously in terms of its capacities, areas of expertise, membership, and impact. This, of course, brings new challenges, but also new opportunities. International COP28, the outcome of COP28 is historic. The agreement on the global goals of tripling renewables, doubling annual energy efficiency improvement, and transitioning away from fossil fuels gives us a real chance to reach a share of at least 2/3 renewable electricity by 2030. Win the fight against climate change together by limiting global warming to 1.5 degrees and at the same time ensure energy security by decreasing dependence on fossil fuels. Achieve universal access to sustainable and affordable energy, and generate new jobs and prosperity for all by making the most of the strong business case that renewables are increasingly becoming. The Accelerated Partnership for Renewables in Africa, the APRA, is a prime example of how ARENA and partners can successfully facilitate global cooperation to this end. And the next round of the NDCs is a turning point. New NDCs with 2035 as target years need to ratchet up ambition, the economy-wide, and cover all greenhouse gases, including methane. They have to show investors how to support a 1.5 aligned development. At home in Germany, we are doing a part to accelerate the sustainable and clean energy transition with renewables and energy efficiency at the center of our policy making. Last year, Germany's emissions dropped by more than 10% compared to 2022. We are on course to attain our 2030 climate target of reducing our greenhouse gas emissions by nearly 2/3 compared to 1990. In 2023, for the first time, more than half of the gross electricity consumption in Germany was covered by renewables. The share is set to rise at least 80% by 2030. And in 2023, more solar panels were installed in Germany than ever before. Germany is speeding up its transition vital ingredients being full speed deployment of renewables, decarbonization of our industry, rollout of heat pumps to decarbonize the way we heat buildings, planning rolling out our hydrogen grid, and the extension of EU emissions trading. All of these measures contribute to big cuts in our carbon emissions. So let's go together ahead. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you, Germany. I now give the floor to Australia.
Thank you, Chair. I'm pleased to provide the Assembly with an update on Australia's national experience. Australia enshrined in legislation our new target of 43% emission reductions by 2030, along with our net zero by 2050 commitment. And we're in the process of developing an ambitious 2035 NDC consistent with our shared obligations under the Paris Agreement. We are rapidly transitioning away from fossil fuels, increasing renewable generation just over 30% now to over 80% by 2030. The Australian Government has an ambitious but achievable plan for the electricity and energy sector, and our abundant sunshine and wind provide the opportunity to capitalise on the global transition to achieve net zero emissions. We are embracing the net zero transition to provide new jobs and build new industries. And we want to ensure our goods are low emissions to give us an advantage in the new net zero economy and make sure we are not left behind. Beyond our borders, we are proud to be a part of a vibrant, diverse and prosperous region, and will work closely with our Pacific and Southeast Asian partners to develop our economies and reach our shared goals. Central to this is our ambitions in becoming a renewable energy superpower to attract investment and profile our green exports. The government has committed more than $40 billion to our energy transformation, including $20 billion for rewiring Australia's transmission infrastructure and a new $1 billion for the Solar Sunshot program to support the development of Australia's solar manufacturing industry. We want cheap, clean energy to power our future and for energy supply and systems to be sustainable over the longer term. The government is developing a national energy performance strategy to accelerate and boost energy performance measures to ensure consumers benefit from the energy transformation. As Australia realises its aspirations to become a renewable energy superpower, we will increase energy security and contribute to decarbonisation efforts both domestically and internationally. Australia has long been a dependable energy partner, and as the world decarbonises, what and how we trade will change. We are enhancing cooperation with our key trading partners to support their energy transitions and supporting policy development on the diversification of battery and solar supply chains. We are working to ensure strong and secure supply chains for green hydrogen and ammonia, for refined critical minerals, for green metals like green steel and green aluminium. At COP28, we welcome the UAE consensus, in particular its clear guidance for future NDCs to be aligned with 1.5 degrees, its acknowledgement of the findings of science around the global reductions needed in 2030 and 2035, and for setting out important collective goals to triple renewable energy and double energy efficiency. This must be a clear guiding light for all countries, particularly major emitters. Follow through on the global stocktake will be an important marker of progress this year, recognising, of course, that how parties take forward collective COP28 consensus will be different and depend on their own nationally determined pathways. The green energy transition is our most significant challenge and our greatest opportunity. Our collective future prosperity depends on our ability to rapidly deploy reliable and clean energy at scale. So we look forward to working with IRENA and all its members to develop and execute decarbonisation pathways and achieve our Paris goals. Thank you.
Thank you, Australia. I now give the floor to Estonia. Estonia. I give the floor to the Lebanon.
Thank you, Chair. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me a real pleasure to be with you today and address this speech on behalf of His Excellency Dr. Walid Fayyad, Minister of Energy and Water at the Lebanese Republic. I stand before you to address a critical aspect of Lebanon's infrastructure, its electricity sector, and the pivotal role that renewables can play in its transformation. Lebanon has faced persistent electricity shortages, posing a significant challenge to its economy and delaying its progress. For far too long, Lebanon has relied heavily on fossil fuel power plants, leading to excessive costs and significant environmental damage. Today, we acknowledge the challenges Lebanon faces in electricity sector, but also we highlight the actual projects and plans that are put in place to drive the adoption of renewables and enhance energy efficiency in our country. Investing in renewables is now a strategic economic decision. Lebanon has recognized the urgent need to transition towards a more sustainable energy future, and significant strides has been made in this regard. One of the key initiatives is the National Renewable Energy Action Plan, which outlines clear targets and measures to increase the share of renewables in our energy mix. This plan sets ambitious goals aiming to achieve 30% renewable energy penetration by 2030. Together with IRENA, and as per the Renewables Readiness Assessment and Renewables Mapping, we have set this target, which includes various renewable sources, reflecting Lebanon's commitment to diversifying its energy sources and reducing its carbon footprint. Furthermore, Lebanon has taken proactive steps to implement measures aimed at enhancing energy efficiency and reducing energy consumption, with fostering sustainable practices across various sectors in developing the National Energy Efficiency Action Plan. Recently, the increase in electricity tariffs that the ministry has enacted was a fundamental step towards ensuring the financial viability and sustainability of Lebanon's electricity sector. By aligning tariffs with the true cost of electricity production, we have started to secure the necessary revenues to upgrade and modernize our aging infrastructure, improve service reliability, and facilitate the integration of renewables into the grid. This decision to eliminate subsidies on fuel and electricity prices created a significant opportunity for the expansion of renewables, particularly in solar photovoltaic systems. The decentralized solar PV market witnessed a huge growth in both 2021 and 2022, culminating in a cumulative capacity of 870 megawatt by the end of 2022, which represents 320% year-to-year increase and surpasses the 500 megawatt target set for 2030. Moreover, the ratification by the Lebanese Parliament of the Decentralized Renewable Energy Law in December 2023 is paramount to unlocking Lebanon's renewable energy potential and fostering a more inclusive and resilient energy system. The implementation of this law will lead to increasing the installed renewables capacity, where peer-to-peer exchange and all types of net metering will allow the supply to the national grid. This legislative framework will encourage private investment in renewable energies and promote innovation and job creation in the renewable energy sector. In conclusion, Lebanon is at a key moment in its energy transition journey. By aligning with national action plans, leveraging international partnerships, and fostering public engagement, we can accelerate the adoption of renewables and energy efficiency measures, paving the way for a more resilient, prosperous, and sustainable future for generations to come. On behalf of His Excellency, Minister of Energy and Water, I would like to thank all those who contributed to organizing this General Assembly. In front of this esteemed audience from all over the globe, I am happy to reassure the commitment of Lebanon to the development of sustainable energy. Thank you.
Thank you, Lebanon. I now give the floor to Canada.
Mr. President, the Director General, La Cámara, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, it's a pleasure for me to address this distinguished General Assembly on Canada's behalf and join all of you at this important gathering. An historic consensus was reached at COP28 to collectively triple renewable energy capacity and double the rate of energy efficiency improvements by 2030. These are very ambitious but necessary goals in our collective efforts to transition to a net zero future. Canada understands the urgent need for action and is putting forward a comprehensive suite of measures to achieve a net zero electricity system by 2035 and a net zero economy by 2050, supported by an ambitious green hydrogen strategy. Clean electricity regulations to be implemented in 2024 will provide investment signals on the decarbonization trajectory of Canada's grid. 3 tiers of financial incentives, including clear and predictable investment tax credits, low cost financing, and targeted programming will complement our regulatory approach. Canada's government is not acting alone. We are collaborating with key partners, including subnational governments, Indigenous communities, industry, and utilities, to drive action and ensure our approach is adapted to the regional circumstances of our vast country. As part of this, an independent electricity advisory council will deliver expert advice to accelerate investments while preserving electricity affordability for Canadian households and businesses. Its report will be a key contributing factor to an upcoming electricity strategy to be released later this year. We are also working to ensure that the skilled, hardworking people who have built Canada's prosperity can continue to do so through a sustainable jobs plan. This approach will enable Canadians to provide for themselves and their families while providing the energy the world needs, as well as the resources for them to do the same in their own countries. We have the critical minerals to do just that, and Canada is committed to seizing this opportunity through its critical minerals strategy, because we understand that secure and diversified supply chains for those resources are essential for our collective transition to a green and digital economy. We are also working hard to decarbonize how we move through our electric vehicle availability standard, as well as where we live through the ongoing work to develop a green buildings strategy. In each of these cases, Canada is taking the actions and making the investments today to lead the change tomorrow, not only across our country, but across the globe. And we remain committed to working with all of you to see that same change everywhere. In closing, I would like to commend the ARENA Secretariat and Director General La Camara for all of the work that has been carried out over the last year to implement the work program and to express Canada's commitment to build on the strong collaboration established with the agency. Thank you.
Thank you, Canada.
I'm going to throw this mic at those.
I now give the floor to Spain. Spain.
Hi, good afternoon. I would like to thank Arena and thanks and congratulate to you to overcome this situation. I would like to remark the solid commitment of Spain with the COP28, the agreement including tripling renewable and doubling energy efficiency. We are completely committed. Those objectives allow countries to advance towards a cheaper, cleaner, and more secure energy supply. Spain, as I mentioned this morning, has reached the goal of 50% renewable energy in our power sector in 2023. After this achievement, every 1% of renewable energy share increase will be more difficult. Big efforts in storage flexibility on either demand and supply sides, as well as demand response, are being put in place. Grid is playing a key role, which is only to grow higher. To continue advancing, there is a very good example of multilateral collaboration at the EU level. Next Generation EU program by the EU Commission is allowing investments in renewable energy, storage, value chain, hydrogen, and they are happening right now at European countries. As stated in COP28, enhanced global cooperation is of the highest relevance to reach these ambitious goals. IRENA is playing a key role in this global cooperation, so please continue with that. IRENA's work can help reducing risk, which means more financial resources can go to the development countries, increasing their opportunities to implement renewable energy sources. To finalize, I would like to thank the opportunity and mention that we are happy to collaborate with IRENA or any other member states. Thank you.
Thank you, Spain. I now give the floor to Malta.
Thank you, Excellencies, distinguished guests. Allow me to start straight away by extending my sincere gratitude to IRENA for providing us with this invaluable platform. Malta, the smallest island state in the Mediterranean, is working hard to take leadership and be ambitious. Our land, geographical land, is very limited. However, our energy journey is a testament to resilience. Just a few years ago, we were reliant on heavy fuel oil for electricity generation, but shifting towards cleaner sources required obviously forward planning, and it ultimately reduced Malta's overall net greenhouse gas emissions in the power sector by nearly 60%. So Malta is very much committed to advancing renewable energy deployment for a cleaner and a greener future. Now, until now, photovoltaic installations, including residential rooftops and small-scale solar farms, played a significant role in our renewable transition. But to make the best use of the limited land potential, we have been working on different initiatives. To further diversify towards affordable and clean energy, we have taken the bold decision to venture in the potential of our surrounding sea. The potential to deploy offshore solar and wind technologies, we believe, is extensive. However, the deep bathymetry surrounding our islands does pose additional challenges, which obviously results in limited commercially viable floating technology, which are much more costly. But despite these hurdles, we remain committed to our ambition. As a matter of fact, recently Malta published a preliminary market consultation inviting investors to submit their interest for the deployment of 50 megawatt offshore floating solar activities. Here we want to test investors' interest in the deployment of such technology in the Mediterranean Sea. And additionally, we are working on the preliminaries for an offshore floating wind farm project within our exclusive economic zone. In parallel, Malta is also working to develop utility-scale battery energy storage systems, which would definitely help ease the intermittency issue of renewable energy sources whilst improving security of supply. And furthermore, we are carrying out substantial investments in grid infrastructure upgrade to ensure security of supply for all our citizens. We know that it is crucial to embrace innovation and to exchange ideas to identify the right solution for Malta's realities. We are committed to sharing best practices and learn from other states, and we are also eager to contribute to the global dialogue on renewable energy. Last year, Malta pioneered the Med9 Energy Ministerial Initiative, where all 9 countries in the Mediterranean committed to continue our efforts to improve energy security, affordability, and accelerate the transition towards renewable energy. And we also agreed to collaborate in developing the Mediterranean as a hub for green energy. To progress further, we have just joined the SIDS Lighthouse Initiative. As a committed advocate for sustainable energy and climate action, the goals and priorities of this initiative align with Malta's vision and ambition. And at this moment, the Maltese government is also undergoing a parliamentary process to set up the first climate action authority in Europe. As a concluding remark, Malta has been proactive in addressing the vulnerabilities and challenges faced by small islands developing states. The Island for Islands initiative launched at COP26 bears testament to our resolve to assist SIDS in combating the adverse effects of climate change. And I believe that IRENA is the right forum because together we can forge paths, overcome obstacles, and also reach new heights. If we keep moving forward together, despite the challenges we might face, I believe that we can achieve our ambition because our final ambition is one. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Malta. I now give floor to Djibouti.
Monsieur le directeur général de l'IRENA, mesdames et messieurs les ministres, chers collègues, c'est un plaisir renouvelé avec beaucoup d'urgence que je participe aujourd'hui aux travaux de la 14e session de l'Assemblée de l'IRENA qui nous donne l'occasion d'échanger sur des questions hautement stratégiques dans le domaine de l'énergie en général et des énergies renouvelables en particulier. Je tiens d'emblée à adresser mes vifs remerciements au directeur général de l'IRENA pour son invitation, mais aussi et surtout pour le rôle ô combien important et déterminant que joue l'agence dans la promotion des énergies renouvelables dans le monde. Mesdames et messieurs, en choisissant de placer notre rencontre de ce jour sous le thème résultat de la COP28, infrastructures politiques et compétences pour tripler les énergies renouvelables et accélérer la transition énergétique, vous touchez à l'un des enjeux majeurs qui nous préoccupent et nous interpellent le plus. En effet, mon pays, la République de Djibouti, a fait de l'énergie l'axe central de sa stratégie de croissance accélérée en vue d'atteindre l'émergence économique. Elle occupe donc une place prépondérante dans la politique de développement de notre pays. L'engagement du gouvernement qui reflète celui du chef de l'État, son Excellence, M. Ismaël Mergueli, pour la promotion et le développement des énergies renouvelables est à la hauteur de nombreuses actions qui ont été réalisées et des projets de construction d'infrastructures énergétiques d'envergure concrétisés dans ce domaine, accordant une place de choix au mix énergétique renouvelable. En effet, après l'importation de l'hydroélectricité de l'Éthiopie, nous avons mis en place un parc éolien de 60 MW et un projet solaire de 50 MW qui est en projet. Mesdames et messieurs, il s'agit donc, à travers les projets énergétiques déjà réalisés et les autres en voie de concrétisation, notre objectif prioritaire poursuivi est l'accès universel à une énergie compétitive pour les entreprises, abordable pour nos populations, notamment pour les plus vulnérables et à faible pollution environnementale. Outre l'effet de répondre aux besoins énergétiques croissants de nos populations et d'assurer la sécurité de nos approvisionnements énergétiques, notre volonté est d'accélérer la transition énergétique en passant d'une économie fortement dépendante des combustibles fossiles à une plus tournée vers l'utilisation de technologies énergétiques qui ouvrent l'accès aux énergies vertes. Au-delà, nous cherchons à concrétiser nos aspirations de développement et à réaliser la transformation économique indispensable pour sortir nos populations de la pauvreté énergétique qui est un frein de développement de notre pays. Pour finir, j'ai saisi cette occasion pour réaffirmer la place des énergies renouvelables dans notre stratégie énergétique nationale de diversification des unités de production. Souscrivant parfaitement le résultat de la COP28 sous le triplement des énergies renouvelables et le doublement de l'efficacité énergétique d'ici 2030, nous souhaitons rejoindre l'APRA, ou le partenariat accéléré pour les énergies renouvelables en Afrique impulsé par le président Ruto au Kenya. Il s'agit de cette nouvelle alliance internationale dirigée par l'Afrique, composée de gouvernements et des parties prenantes travaillant ensemble en synergie pour accélérer le développement des énergies renouvelables afin d'améliorer l'accès à l'énergie, permettre une industrialisation verte et améliorer la résilience économique et sociale. Ces partenariats, rappelons-le, est conçu pour aider les pays africains à réaliser la vision profondément ancrée dans la déclaration de Nairobi sur le changement climatique et dans l'appel à l'action qui consiste à apporter la capacité renouvelable de 300 gigawatts d'ici 2030. Pour notre part, nous sommes pleinement et résolument engagés à jouer notre position avec notre partition et réussir la transition énergétique. Sachez que nous poursuivons sans relâche nos efforts pour relever les défis énergétiques. Dans l'ensemble, nous voulons gagner les batailles de l'accès pour tous à l'électricité, l'éducation rurale et l'efficacité énergétique et la baisse du coût de l'électricité. Sur ce, je vous remercie de votre attention.
Thank you. I now give the floor to the Papua New Guinea.
Thank you, Chair. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, We are all gathered here again after a few months where the government of the United Arab Emirates hosted a successful conference of parties or COP28 meeting. We applaud the leadership of the UAE government and its people, including the wonderful city of Dubai, for hosting us all and ensuring we delivered on several successful outcomes, including the consensus package and the first global stocktake. Mr. President, Papua New Guinea, like the others who have spoken before us, is here today to show our support for this theme and its importance to our ongoing efforts to promote implementation. In year 2022, we spoke about policies and legislative reforms, progress, and what we can do as a country to progress renewable energy implementation. The outcome of the first global stocktake at the COP28 in Dubai has indicated that renewable energy progress, reform, and the implementation in our country will require support towards a just energy transition. Mr. President, the theme of this assembly reflects the ongoing challenges amongst all countries around the world, in the global south and global north, when it comes to energy transition. Amidst the global conflicts that poses a threat on the global supply chain and energy consumption balance across the world, a just transition to renewables will always remain an important challenge for many of our countries, including the small island states. As a country, PNG faces a lot of challenges. Infrastructure and skills are amongst the most obvious. We continue to rely on our global trade and relationship with others to access the necessary products and services, including technology for energy. Energy transition to renewables and the ability to accelerate will not be upon us alone as a country and a region. We will need the collective collaboration of all countries and governments. This requires us to also acknowledge that international partnerships will be relevant for this. We intend to move forward with this question. How will this assembly and its members use all our convening powers to collaborate with other multilateral forums call for a global action? During the SEEDS ministerial meeting yesterday, the resilience aspect of a just energy transition was repeatedly reflected in almost all the ministerial intervention. An important challenge raised by Dominica on how we can pursue the development and deployment of SEEDS appropriate technology. Mr. President, PNG, like all other SEEDS members, rely heavily on energy for economic activities, including key ones like tourism, fisheries, agriculture, and not to mention general electricity generation for all other socio-economic uses. As a country, we share the similar plight of all small island states in terms of weak and ailing power systems, the need for reskilling and upskilling of workers who will be able to transition into renewable energy jobs. We also acknowledge that amidst all this, our economy remains dependent on the country's continued effort to provide energy to its citizens. Reliable electricity supply for the entire country and economy stands as a key priority for our government. We know that non-renewable energy, including fossil fuel, is expensive, but we also lament the fact that renewable energy technologies and infrastructure remain as a challenge. This means that consistent energy supply will remain relevant to the achievement of our sustainable development goals as well. Mr. President, in closing, PNG remains committed to its renewable energy goals and targets. Tripling its renewable energy will depend on the collective effort of countries to collaborate seriously on technology development and deployment. Thank you.
Thank you, Papua New Guinea. I now give the floor to the Gambia.
Thank you. The President of the Assembly, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. As we gather here to take stock of the work of ERINA in the past year, as well as review the global renewable energy development, it has become apparent that the international community has a Herculean task to promote large-scale deployment of renewable energy technologies, and the organization to lead these efforts can only be the International Renewable Energy Agency. Moreover, energy access, energy security, climate change, and all remain a major global challenge, as we have witnessed during the past years. Interestingly, renewable energy resources which are available in all the countries around the world appear to be common vehicle to deliver viable solutions to all these three major global challenges. More so, the infinite nature of renewable energy resources present a great opportunity for the global community to rapidly accelerate massive deployment of renewable energy technologies for a speedy energy transition. To facilitate this drive, countries do not only need an energy transition strategy, but a package of incentive measures and instruments to attract private sector investment in energy transition technologies. Distinguished delegates, back at home in the Gambia, the government and all its value partners have committed and prioritized the energy transition process by embracing and deploying renewable energy in the country's power sector, in the country's power supply system. Therefore, in a bid to transform and modernize the Gambia's electricity supply system, the government, with the support of its donor partners, developed the Electricity Roadmap 2021 to 2040. The roadmap, which outlines the investment requirements of the electricity subsector in terms of both power generation and transmission and distribution, seeks to achieve universal electrification by 2025, a little bit earlier than the target for the SDG 7. The Gambia plans to generate at least 50% of its electricity needs from renewable energy sources by 2040, and a good percent of this renewable energy generation will come from solar. As part of the implementation of the Gambia's electricity roadmap, I am pleased to inform the August Assembly that on the 9th of March this year, the President of the Republic had inaugurated the first utility-scale solar plant of about 23 megawatts with 8 megawatt hour of battery storage. This is a very significant project for the country, as it makes the beginning of a major drive to decarbonize the country's electricity system. In addition to this first utility-scale solar plant, the Gambia, through the West African Power Pool, has fully developed a 150 megawatts regional solar power park project, and the first phase of the project, which is about 50 megawatts, would be tendered in the second quarter of this year. The sub-regional interconnectivity with enhanced energy security, diversify our energy needs, and provide access to cheaper energy source for the population. In the race against 2025 target for universal access, it has become practically obvious that grid extension projects alone cannot provide viable reach for all the population in the country. Thus, communities that are far reach or are away from the grid would be provided with off-grid energy systems as an interim electrification option to accelerate universal access pending the arrival of the grid. Similarly, solar home systems programs are also developed and been funded through the European Union to solarize about 1,000 schools and also 100 health facilities in the country. In conclusion, as we look forward to fruitful partnerships and collaborations with investors, international and bilateral partners here present in our quest to achieve our universal energy access and energy transition agenda, please allow me to seize this opportunity to thank all the delegates for taking time off their busy schedules to attend this 14th Assembly. Finally, I wish to reiterate the commitment of the government of the Gambia to the promotion and upscaling of renewable energy deployment as part of the country's energy transition agenda, and look forward to ERINA's support and collaboration in including the Gambia in the second phase of the initiative, Empowering Lives and Livelihoods, Renewable Energy for Climate Action. I thank you all.
Thank you, Gambia. I now give the floor to Switzerland.
Thank you, President. Switzerland thanks the ARENA Secretariat for the work accomplished over the last year. COP28 and the organization of the General Assembly in two parts presented unusual operational challenges. The Directors General report mentions that ARENA must balance the need to be responsive to immediate priorities and short-term challenges with long-term strategies. This is all the more true in the troubled times the world is currently going through. For Switzerland, it is important that IRENA continues to prioritize its work in favor of the energy transition and access to renewables in the countries and regions that need it most, such as the small island developing states or the landlocked developing countries. This is a major equity issue. In this context, it is positive to note that IRENA has been asked to implement the nationally determined contributions of 95 parties to the Paris Agreement, including 26 SIDS and 21 LLDCs. We see this as a proof of the need for IRENA's services. Switzerland attaches great importance to good cooperation between various agencies and processes. The historic agreement reached at the last COP puts the tripling of renewable energies at the center of the game. The UN, IRENA, the IEA, and all other actors must work together in the most complementary way possible, focusing on their respective strengths. This is the only way to achieve Sustainable Development Goal 7 and hope to limit global warming to 1.5 degrees. Since last year, Switzerland is the first country with a legitimized net zero target by 2050 adopted by popular vote. The energy sector has a key role to play in reducing CO2 emissions. Fossil fuel consumption is responsible for 3/4 of our emissions. Finally, we note with interest the growing importance of an instrument such as the Energy Transition Accelerator Financing Platform, which has attracted 4 billion in pledges. Switzerland itself supports various instruments for financing renewable in developing countries, such as the Blue Dot Network, and welcomes all innovative mechanisms in this area. Regarding the financing of renewable in the developing countries, we are convinced of the need of changing our approach to a more efficient and coordinated one. We have to explore options for the new way of de-risking and reducing capital costs according to the specificities of individual projects. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Sitilan. I now give the floor to Kuwait. Kuwait.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished delegates, I am highly honored to address you today to highlight a brief about Kuwait's sustainable goals and dynamic progress in the area of renewable energy and the sustainability of our future world. We as a nation keenly aware of addressing the importance of climatic change challenges and fully supportive to be at the forefront of the global movement towards a sustainable and carbon neutral future. In alignment towards COP28 decisions, Kuwait has been taking steps to significant increase its renewable energy targets. In March last year, the government of Kuwait announced an ambitious target aiming to double the share of renewable energy from 15% up to 30% by 2030, with a target of increasing 50% by 2050 of renewable energy contribution. These goals underscore Kuwait's improvement toward energy economy and sustainability. In parallel, energy efficiency, which is really very important, stands as a cornerstone of Kuwait's national sustainable energy strategy. By 2030, energy efficiency strategies will continue to be utilized to limit its growing demand to 10% compared of 2020 levels. The target will be achieved through an innovative set of policies and incentive programs, along with the deployment of the latest technologies. Furthermore, Kuwait has proudly initiated the second and third phases of the renewable energy park called Shigaya. This giga project will mark both our renewable energy installed capacity for the next years. Within the upcoming 5 years, these initiatives will introduce a remarkable addition of 5,000 megawatts to our national grid from the Central Renewable Energy Park, as well as 2,005 megawatts from the distributed power generation level, which will move us towards our 30% renewable energy goals by 2030. Ladies and gentlemen, in closing, as we gathered here today at this esteemed international platform, let us remember that our efforts in renewable energy and sustainable are not just for our nations alone, but for our global community at large. Kuwait is proud to contribute to this collective efforts of ARENA since its establishment, and we are look for where to continue this fruitful cooperation and collaboration with all of you to create a sustainable future for our world and for the next generations. Thank you a lot for your attention. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you, Kuwait. I now give the floor to the Japan.
ありがとうございます。経済産業大臣政務官の吉田信弘です。
Thank you very much. I am Yoshida Nobuhiro, Parliamentary Vice Minister of Economy, Trade and Industry of Japan.
はじめに COP28 の成果に向けたアイリーナの貢献を評価します。
First, we appreciate very much the contribution IRENA has made to the outcome of COP28.
日本は再生可能エネルギーの主力電源化に向けた取り組みを進め、太陽光の累積導入量が世界第3位の実績があります。さらに洋上風力設置区域の拡大に向けた制度整備や、今後10年程度で8倍以上の地域間連携線の拡大などを通じ、再生可能エネルギーの導入拡大に向けて取り組んでいます。
Japan has been working to make renewables baseload power and has become number 3 in the world in terms of cumulative deployment of solar power. We are also putting system to expand areas for offshore wind farm and enhancing regional grid interconnection by 8-fold in the next 10 years, pushing ahead further renewable take-up.
一方で COP28 の目標達成に向けて一層の各国間の連携が求められています。また我々は気候変動対策、エネルギー安全保障、経済成長を同時に推進する難しい舵取りが求められています。このため日本は多様な道筋によるエネルギー移行、イノベーションの促進、世界全体での脱炭素化を進めることが重要であると考えています。
On the other hand, achieving goals set at COP28 would call for cooperations amongst the countries further. We are called upon to manage difficult tasks of achieving simultaneously climate measures, energy security, and economic growth. Japan believes it important to advance energy transition through various pathways, promote innovation, and decarbonize on worldwide basis.
一つ目にエネルギーをめぐる各国のさまざまな事情に応じ、多様な道筋のもと、ネットゼロという共通のゴールを目指すことが重要です。
First, it's important that according to the national circumstances of energy, through various pathways, aim for common goal of net zero.
この考え方は G7 広島市のコミュニケや COP28 の決定にも盛り込まれました。また、再エネに加えて水素、アンモニアなどあらゆる技術の活用も重要です。
This notion is incorporated into the G7 Hiroshima leaders' communique and decision at COP28. Also, besides renewables, it's important to use all technologies, including hydrogen and ammonia.
再生可能エネルギーについても、再エネポテンシャルや電力系統の整備状況は国によって異なります。この点も考慮したアイリーナのきめ細かい分析を期待しています。
On renewables as well, as its potential and development stage of grid is different amongst the countries, we hope IRENA will analyze in detail about these points.
2つ目に、研究開発段階にある技術の実用化が必要です。日本は GX 経済移行債を発行し、脱炭素化に必要なイノベーションに対し、20兆円規模の投資支援を行い、浮体式容量風力やペロブスカイト太陽電池の開発などを推進しています。
Second, technology at R&D stage need to be put into practical application. Japan will issue GX Economic Transition Bond and give investment support of 20 trillion yen to innovation necessary for decarbonization and promotion of floating offshore wind and development of perovskite solar cell.
再エネ導入だってや周辺環境との調和、立地制約など、さまざまな課題もあり、一層の導入に向けたイノベーションの重要性をアイリーナからも発信していただきたく存じます。
Deployment of renewables also has some problems as well, such as harmony with the surrounding environment and siting constraints. We ask IRENA to message the importance of innovation for further take-up.
3つ目として、脱炭素化に向けた取り組みは先進国、新興国を問わず、世界全体で進めることが重要です。
Third, efforts toward decarbonization should be pushed forward on worldwide basis, irrespective of advanced or emerging economies.
日本は昨年、アジアゼロエミッション共同体首脳会議及び閣僚会合を開催し、アジアの脱炭素化に向けた協力を推進しています。
Japan last year hosted Asia Zero Emission Community Leaders and Ministerial Meeting and is promoting cooperation in decarbonization in Asia.
アイリーナの強みはメンバー国が170カ国に上ること。アイリーナのネットワークを駆使してメンバー国の再生可能エネルギー導入拡大に向け、各国の事情を踏まえたきめ細やかな導入策の分析を期待しています。
The strength of IRENA is in its membership, counting 170 countries. Using its network to the fore, we hope IRENA will make detailed analysis on deployment measures for countries whose circumstances are each different.
引き続き、我が国もアイリーナと連携し、再エネ分野での協力を進め、世界の現実的なエネルギー移行に貢献していきます。
Japan will cooperate with IRENA to promote renewables and contribute to the practical energy transition of the world.
ご清聴ありがとうございました。
Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Japan. I now give the floor to Egypt.
Thank you. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, at the outset, I would like to seize this opportunity to express my pleasure to participate in this event on behalf of the Egyptian government and to convey my express and appreciation to Mr. Francesco Lacamera, Director General of IRENA, and his team for their efforts to enhance renewable energy deployment. And I would like to congratulate the United Arab Emirates on its excellent hosting, organizing, and the success outcomes of COP28. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, today the global transformation of energy system has become a reality to achieve a sustainable economy that includes unlimited opportunities for cooperation between countries. In this regard, let me briefly share with you what Egypt has done in the last 10 years to address this matter. In 2014, Egypt issued a law for attracting investments to renewable energy field. Based on this law, the Bimban Solar Park was implemented with a current capacity of 1,465 megawatt with direct foreign financing from foreign financing institutions, which contribute to reducing greenhouse emissions by about 2 million tons annually. This project has won many international awards, including the World Bank Award in 2019. In 2015, the electricity law was issued, which regulates the market in Egypt and aims to open the competitive market. In 2016, an energy strategy was adopted as ambitious vision towards 2035. which includes maximizing the participation of renewable energy capabilities in the energy mix to reach about 42% in 2035. And this strategy is currently being updated until the year 2040 in light of local and global variables. Egypt affirmed its transition to clean energy by updating the NDC on June 2023 to increase renewable energy generation contribution to be 42% of generation mix by 2030 instead of 2035. This update is based on the energy pillar of NWAFI program, aims to the commissioning of 5,000 megawatt of existing inefficient oil and gas fueled power generation capacity and facilitate investment of more than 10 billion US dollar to support the installation of 10,000 megawatt of new renewable energy capacity. It's expected to lead to GHG emission reduction of about 17 million tons CO2 annually. In the field of green hydrogen, Egypt has followed two parallel axes. The first one is to prepare a national strategy for low carbon hydrogen, which was approved and launched in the first quarter of this year. And the second one is to take the required actions to stimulate the developer to implement their project. In this regard, the National Council for Green Hydrogen and its derivatives was established, which is headed by the Prime Minister in order to support and overcome the barriers facing investment in this field first and foremost. In addition, the law for green hydrogen production incentives was also issued, including a package of taxes and non-taxes incentives. As a result of these efforts, 27 MOUs were signed with international developers. In addition, 12 framework agreements were also signed. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the strengthening of cooperation and integration between the policies and the international partnership will work to achieve the desired objectives of the international community and the achievement of growth and well-being of our people. I believe that the most important option is to strengthen the required funds to prepare the infrastructure, legislative and regulation for the countries most in need to implement the required path towards a more sustainable world. I look forward to powerful catalyst for collaboration and cooperation between all parties hand in hand by contribution. Together, we will further our collective action to achieve transformative change in support of just energy transitions worldwide for our people, planets, and shared prosperity. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Egypt. I now give the floor to the Brunei Darussalam.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Assalamualaikum and good afternoon. Mr. Chair, Excellencies, COP28 underscored the importance of lower carbon solutions through rapid energy transition. Brunei Darussalam too recognizes this importance, and we are committed towards contributing to the tripling of global renewable energy generation capacity by 2030 and doubling energy efficiency improvements within the same timeline. For Brunei Darussalam, increasing renewable energy deployment carries a greater meaning. As an oil and gas producing country, rapid transitions towards a lower carbon energy system will enhance national energy security while meeting the growing energy demand. At the same time, it presents an economic opportunities as enablers based on low carbon solutions, including renewable energy projects. We have set ambitious national targets that reflect the pledges that we took in line with our nationally determined contributions NDCs. Brunei Darussalam's current renewable energy installed capacity stands at over 6 megawatt, which is about less than 1% in the power generation mix. Our aspiration is to further increase this share to at least 30% by 2035 through installation of large-scale solar, with a key focus of achieving installed capacity of 200 megawatt by 2025. Brunei Darussalam is still predominantly covered by pristine rainforest with a coverage rate of over 70%. And in considering this, has motivated us to focus more on marginal land and water-based surfaces for large-scale renewable energy installations. To enable projects within these areas has its own set of challenges. Thus, our aim, among others, is to accelerate major grid infrastructure upgrade, explore the integration of utility-scale energy storage system into the power supply system, and establish conducive power tariff rates. On top of that, with the introduction of net metering mechanism in 2021, renewable energy is extended to smaller scales rooftop solar on buildings in the country, which is planned to be integrated to national development projects such as national housing, schools, and mosques, among others. Our pursuit to scale up renewables is complemented with focused efforts on energy efficiency. Brunei Darussalam has implemented the Energy Efficiency Standards and Labeling Act in 2023 to promote demand-side energy efficiency and conservation by restricting electrical appliances importation to those meeting the minimum energy efficiency standards only. Other initiatives include application of energy efficient technologies such as combined cycle gas turbine in our power generation. Brunei Darussalam is keen to cooperate and collaborate in sharing best practices, as well as learning from other countries' expertise, particularly on the deployment of renewable energy and storage system. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Brunei Darussalam. Now I give the floor to the Tuvalu.
Thank you for the opportunity, honorable members, your excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. It is with great honor and gratitude that I deliver a short statement on behalf of my country, Tuvalu, and my minister before you this afternoon, representing how resilient we are. As you may know, we have a new government that came into office on the 28th of February this year, and our minister responsible is Honorable Simon Kofe, whom looks after the portfolio of transport, energy, communication, and innovation. I extend my deepest appreciation to Irina for extending this invaluable invitation to participate in the 14th Assembly here in Abu Dhabi. It is a testament to the collective commitment we share toward a sustainable and renewable energy future. Tuvalu, a small island nation in the South Pacific, faces unique challenges and vulnerabilities in the face of climate change. We have only 26 square kilometers with 11,000 people only. Yet, despite our size and limited resources, limited capacity, and being isolated from the world market, we are unwavering in our determination to lead by example and put words into actions. We have embarked on a journey to phase out fossil fuels and embrace renewable energy alternatives that are yet to explore and implement, such as offshore technology. Currently, the only renewable energy source is solar systems. However, maintaining batteries is a challenge and it's a high cost. In the pursuit of this noble goal, we recognize that we are not alone. As small island developing states, we stand united in our resolve to combat climate change and its devastating effect on our planet. The Paris Agreement serves as our guiding light, offering a beacon of hope in the face of adversity. Furthermore, we must ensure that young people have access to financing and resources to support their innovative ideas and initiatives. By providing avenues for collaboration, mentorship, and investment, we can unleash the full potential of our youths and catalyze a drastic transformation towards clean energy. Moreover, other stakeholders such as the grassroots community to recognize and actively engage with leaders and decision makers to prioritize investment in renewable energy and create enabling environment for sustainable development through advocacy, education, and grassroots mobilization. We can influence policy and foster a culture of sustainability at all levels of society. As mentioned yesterday, we need the appropriate technology that is applicable and contextualized to generating clean energy effectively in our respective countries. In Tuvalu, we are in the process of passing the energy bill in Parliament and will play a role as an overarching legal framework to support all energy-related policies, regulations, and instruments, such as providing incentives to businesses and suppliers to import more e-bikes, EV cars, and e-boats to the country. In conclusion, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to Irina and all participating nations for their unwavering support and solidarity. Together, let us leverage this opportunity to create a brighter tomorrow for generations to come. Fakafitailassi, and thank you.
Thank you, Tufal. I now give the floor to the Mauritans.
Respected Director, respected Chairman, Director General, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I am grateful to IRENA and the Director General for allowing me to share the experience of Mauritius in the renewable energy sector. Mauritius has stressed on various platforms that the policy of the government is to phase out the use of the coal, increase the renewable energy to 60% in the electricity sector, and improve its energy efficiency by 10%. With 2019 as base year, by 2030, green energy has been announced as a new pillar of the economy. Presently, Mauritius is heavily dependent on fossil fuel and renewable energy. Contribution in the electricity sector was around 19.2% in 2022. The target of 60% is very ambitious, and therefore Mauritius reviewed its renewable energy roadmap in 2022, which lists out all the priority action to be undertaken between 2022 and 2030. The Central Electricity Board, CEB, is the sole electricity utility provider in Mauritius, is currently implementing a number of schemes and projects which are objective of democratize access to the grid to enable each customer segment and to play a crucial role in the green energy transition. As a measure to also decarbonize the transportation sector, three categories of electric vehicle EV, PV scheme have been developed for the individual, commercial, and public charging through solar PV system. Moreover, the government provides incentive for the electrification of the transport field. As regards the large-scale RE project, the CAB has already commissioned 109 NWPV farms. The CB has also signed 7 power purchase agreements for RE hybrid facilities. This project will comprise both PV and battery energy storage system. Although solar and wind are much technologies adoption of these renewable calls for the coupling of the BSS, which is capital incentive to limit the intermittency on the grid. These REHF will contribute to the semi-base load. To displace coal in the base load, a national biomass framework NBF was released in 2023 to boost a share of biomass in the energy mix. Apart from the revamping the sugarcane sector, local biomass is also being promoted for use in existing IPPs by increasing the share of local biomass in the electricity mix. Mauritius will be less vulnerable for an exchange risk with the gradual importation of coal. As it sits, Mauritius has limited land resources for implementation for RE technologies and has to compete with the land use of residential, commercial, and agricultural purpose. In the context, water bodies are being considered for the implementations of floating of PV. Excellency, injecting more RE and the electricity mix calls for the grid strengthening. The CB has already embarked on the implementations of 10 GIS substations and smartening of the grid of absorb more RE. The grid also needs to be made more resilient in order to face the effects of the climate change. According to robust RE technology are required as well as undergrounding of electrical cables, which is capital incentives. Administrative procedure are also a challenge for securing of the permit, license, and consent prior to the implementations of large RE projects. In this context, the government has put in place a fast-track committee to streamline the procedure for permits and license. Excellency, Mauritius welcomed the webinar organized by IRENA, especially on the potential of the offshore wind and green hydrogen in the energy transition. Commercial exploitation of such technology will be a game changer. For seeds having limited land resources, the implementations of ocean technologies, including offshore wind, would provide a viable solution in lowering our GHG emission. The RD are also targeted towards the use of the biofuel as the alternative to fossil fuel. However, we need to be cautious and ensure that the productions of biofuel be sustainable and not jeopardize our most precious forest and its biodiversity. Excellencies, I will conclude by submitting a request to IRENA for the capacity building, technical assistance, as well as financial matchmaking for Mauritius for the implementation of its NDSC. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Mauritius. I now give the floor to Norway.
Thank you. Mr. President, distinguished delegates, at COP28, we agreed to triple global renewable energy capacity and to double the global average annual rate of energy efficiency improvements by 2030. Let me thank our hosts, the United Arab Emirates, also for their excellent COP presidency that enabled us to get the historic UAE consensus. And analytical work by IRENA underpinned that decision, underscoring how IRENA's work is influencing world energy and climate politics. Now we have to deliver, and reaching our targets requires commitment, policy support, and investment at scale from all of us. Now, please allow me to present some of the recent developments in Norway. As the largest supplier of energy to Europe, we will continue to be a stable and predictable energy supplier. And the North Sea will become an even more important energy hub for Europe. Together with the other countries in the North Sea region, our combined plans are to establish 300 gigawatts of offshore wind capacity. Norway's aim is to award areas for 30 gigawatts by 2040. This will also generate many positive ripple effects, including safe, green jobs. And just 3 weeks ago, the first auction round for a license in the southern part of the North Sea was successfully completed. The size of that project is 1.4 gigawatts of capacity. Carbon management is also a key priority. CCS represent an important pathway to achieve climate neutrality. The goal with our Longship project, which is the largest climate project in Norwegian industry ever, is to build a viable value chain for carbon capture, transport, and storage. We have a test center for capture technologies, and next year Heidelberg Industries will start to produce cement with CO2 capture. We need and welcome more countries and companies to invest in CCS. This is necessary for CCS to reach economies of scale and help mitigate climate change in a cost-effective way. Norway also wants to contribute to a market for hydrogen produced with low or zero emissions. Our view is that blue hydrogen will be necessary in the first phases of a hydrogen market. In the longer term, more renewable power can set the stage for an increasing production of green hydrogen. Colleagues, to achieve universal access to energy and the ambitions of COP28, public and private investments need to increase significantly. To increase investments in renewable energy in developing countries, Norway has established a climate investment fund providing equity and a new state guarantee instrument. In 2022, the fund mobilized more than $1 billion in private capital, which ensured that Norway reached its target of doubling climate finance 4 years ahead of schedule. Now, finally, I am also pleased to announce that Norway will enter into a new voluntary agreement with IRENA. I thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Norway. I now give the floor to Portugal.
Thank you, Mr. President. And good afternoon to everyone. It is a pleasure for me to be here and to share the good example of Portugal in this green transition. Portugal has made a clear commitment with this transition, and we fixed our targets as an ambitious targets, but fully achievable. Let me underline that Portugal was the first country in the world to have a carbon neutral roadmap, and we established this goal until 2050. Now the goal is still until 2045. We anticipated this date in 5 years. Also, we aim to double our installed capacity of renewables to the double. And to accelerate the deployment of these renewables, we will triple our solar capacity, and we will install 10 gigawatts of offshore wind until 2030. We also want to reinforce the importance of adopting energy efficiency measures and to promote investments in new technologies while developing the needs in hydrogen, biofuels, and lithium industry. We also have now 65% of our electricity coming from renewables, and we have a target of reaching 85% already in 2026. For instance, in the last month, we had 91% of our electricity coming from renewables. We also have a biomethane action plan to boost the biomethane market in Portugal. We aim to reduce our dependency on the importation of natural gas and reduce the emissions and to promote green industries. In addition, we are working on implementing regulatory frameworks that encourage grid flexibility along with specific policies aiming to speed up licensing processes, as well as designing offshore and tenders, which will be launched very soon. Finally, this session is an excellent opportunity to share experiences, to learn from each other, and to identify opportunities to work together in the coming years. Tackling climate change and ensuring a fair and inclusive energy transition is a challenge, not only to a single country to be able to solve it as its own. Portugal is very committed to actively collaborate with IRENA in leading this transition to a cleaner and more sustainable future. Thank you.
Thank you, Portugal. I now give the floor to Italy.
Esteemed colleagues,
First of all, I would like to express Italy's appreciation to IRENA for its outstanding work in favor of energy transition and to commend the effort put in place for the implementation of the work program for 2022-2023. Also, let me praise the cooperation between Italy and IRENA, which produced outstanding results. In this context, I am particularly glad to mention two main Italian initiatives. IACT, carried out with IRENA to promote youth engagement, training over 3,700 young activists, and Youth for Climate, supported with the UNDP to propose young project generation in climate change. Speaking about decarbonization, Italy is working hard, both at national level and international one. Regarding our national strategy in renewable energy policy, Italy has made significant strides. Currently, nearly 37% of Italy's electricity supply is met through our renewables, a testament to our commitment and progress in the clean energy transition. This result was made possible thanks to significant incentives that Italy spent to support renewable energy power plants, energy efficiency, and sustainable mobility. Thanks to this, we have 61 gigawatts of renewable capacity already installed in the electric sector. We are also pioneering new investment in renewables, incentivizing energy communities, collective consumption, and agri-solar projects. In addition to the electric sector, we are focused on the heating and cooling sector and the transport sector, where we have been a pioneer in integrating renewables, particularly throughout incentives for electric vehicles and the development of a national platform for EV charging infrastructure. Moving to our international agenda and our G7 presidency, let me highlight how we are prioritizing the acceleration of the net zero agenda and the transitioning away from fossil fuels. Climate risks are a global challenge that affects every country at every latitude. To this regard, Africa is a focal point for our G7 agenda. Through our various initiatives, we aim at fostering energy collaboration and industrialization as catalysts for the continent's progress. This endeavor emphasizes the significance of credible partnership with African nations, align our efforts with their priorities, and supporting their industrial development. In conclusion, Italy's national efforts and international leadership during the G7 presidencies showcase our holistic and ambitious approach to decarbonization. We remain committed to advancing renewable energy, exploring innovative technologies, and fostering global partnership to achieve a sustainable and decarbonized future. I thank you.
Thank you, Italy. I now give the floor to the Ukraine.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Distinguished members, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to start by thanking the IRENA Secretariat for organizing the 14th Assembly and thank our host, the UAE, for traditionally warm hospitality, as well as our Rwanda presidency for its leadership. Ukraine commends IRENA's initiatives under the Rwanda's leadership, which aim at supporting member states through sharing expertise, facilitating capacity building program, and mobilizing resources for sustainable energy projects. Let me brief the distinguished participants on the progress made by Ukraine since the last Assembly meeting. In June 2023, Ukraine presented its Energy Strategy 2050 at the Ukraine Recovery Conference in London. This strategy envisions decarbonizing Ukraine's energy sector by 2050. The recovery plan for Ukraine defines our ambition to increase the share of renewable energy, promote highly maneuverable generation and energy storage systems, and advance renewable gases. Currently, Ukraine is finalizing the development of its own hydrogen strategy until 2050. Offshore and onshore wind potential analysis and development is also on the agenda. In 2023, the share of renewable energy in power mix reached 20.3%, including large hydropower plants. As of the beginning of 2024, the installed capacity of renewable energy facilities amounted to 10.8 gigawatts, including facilities located on temporarily occupied territories. During 2023, at least 360 megawatts of RES capacities were commissioned in Ukraine. Up until 2023, there was no biomethane production in Ukraine. In April, the first biomethane plant with a total capacity of 3 million per year and access to gas distribution network was commissioned. The commissioning of approximately 10 new biomethane plants, each of a capacity of 1.5 million cubic meters per year, is scheduled for the years for 2024-2025. A year ago, during the 13th IRENA Assembly, Ukraine requested the IRENA Secretariat and the member states to support the vital initiatives for Ukraine to restore the damage to Ukrainian power grid caused by Russian aggression. Let me avail myself of this opportunity to express sincere gratitude to IRENA Director General Francesca La Camera, the IRENA Secretariat, as well as to our partners for their prompt response in providing practical assistance in facilitating Ukraine's renewable energy goals. To contribute to the COP28 legacy, on December 10, 2023, Ukraine and IRENA signed a joint statement on actions to establishing the Ukrainian Decarbonization Fund using IRENA's expertise and international best practices. I would like to convey words of appreciation to Director General of IRENA, Francesca La Camera, his able team, particularly Dr. Ahmed Bater, for supporting the initiative to conduct a special training for Ukrainian representatives from the Ministry of Energy and State Energy Efficiency Agency. We look forward to the continuation of our cooperation with IRENA aimed at capacity building. It is important to note that our efforts in the development of renewable energy in Ukraine are taking place despite Russia's destructive assault on Ukraine's energy infrastructure at Exxon's energy facilities. Since the beginning of military